All right, guys, welcome back to the SLC Dunk Draft Show. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the draft. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the players that the Jazz might be picking and some of the players that I personally like. Now, before we get into this, I don't want to act like I'm the greatest draft expert ever. There are things that you can look at with players and things that you can see with certain prospects that make you think whether this player might be better than this player for this reason or that. I mean, there have been some players that I was really big on that turned out really well. I was really big on Donovan Mitchell. Just going to pat myself on the back. But there's other guys that I've liked that didn't really pan out. And I think some of that is just, there's some things you can look at with the draft and some things from players that can make you think, well, this guy might have a real chance to be something pretty special. The thing with the Jazz this year is the Jazz are picking at draft at 21. So anyone who thinks that going into this draft, the Jazz are going to come away with, if you're expecting a star or something like that, or some sort of all-star level player, you're gonna probably be disappointed. But if the Jazz can come away at pick 21 with a high-level player, a rotation player, that's a home run. Because 9 times out of 10, you're going to see a lot of guys fizzle out in this range. I mean, yeah, people say, well, Rudy Gobert was 27. Rodney Hood was actually around this pick. I can't remember if Rodney was 21 or 24. So the Jazz have actually found a lot of success in this range, but expecting that might get you a little disappointed. It's why, honestly, Dennis Lindsey has been so good, is what he's been able to do at this last part of the draft. He's just really found nice players. So there's reasons to be excited if you're a Jazz fan. I think that if the Jazz come away with a rotation level player, they're doing great. And there's a few players I wanted to talk about tonight, and we might actually do this a lot more leading up to the draft. If you like it, let me know. Brandon Whiteside, Luka Doncic. Yeah, he's not going to be available at 21. I can tell you that. But you never know. Who knows? Maybe he'll be there at 4. You never know. All right, the first guy I wanted to talk about tonight is Elie Okobo. This guy has been rocketing up the draft boards. Literally a week or two ago, this guy was kind of slated in the second round. One of the draft boards I'm really following, and you guys should as well, that's really good, is the Ringer draft board. It's really excellent. Gives you a lot of great insight. With Draft Express basically going to ESPN and disappearing, the Ringer's really stepped up and done an awesome job. So if you're looking for that, just Google Ringer Draft Board 2018 and you'll get it. But Elie Okobo, he's a 6'3" combo guard. I mean, they call him a point guard, but he's kind of like Donovan Mitchell in that he's a combo guard. He can probably play both positions right now. Whether he plays one or the other better, we'll find out. It's kind of with Donovan Mitchell. He's a combo guard right now. I think eventually Donovan Mitchell becomes a point guard. Elie Okobo is kind of similar. He's 6'3", so he's got similar height to Donovan Mitchell. Weighs 180 pounds, but we don't have a wingspan. One of the things that's interesting about Donovan Mitchell that people need to remember, Donovan Mitchell's 6'3", so some people might say not that tall. Donovan Mitchell weighed about 210 pounds coming out of the draft, and he was muscular, So you've got guys that weigh 180 and they come out there. That's 30 pounds Donovan Mitchell had everyone. Donovan Mitchell was NBA ready, and we saw that this year. That weight was a big deal. There were so many signs, by the way, of Donovan Mitchell that he was going to be good. And remember that when Donovan Mitchell checked off a lot of boxes, and really so many boxes that more people should have been paying attention. But this guy, Elie Okobo, is really nice. He's 180 pounds, so he's a little lighter than Donovan Mitchell, but he's 6'3". Wingspan's not available. He's a French guard. He comes from France, because people who are French come from France. I'm smart. This is why you should listen to these post games and draft specials. But he's really nice. If you go watch his tape, he has a good shooting stroke. He's a scoring guard. I think he dropped 40-something points in one of his Euro games this season, which is why he's kind of rocketing up draft boards. He looks like this guy has one of those diamond in the rough potentials. This is one of those guys that we might look back on and be like, how did we miss this guy? He was scoring like crazy in Europe. He had a great stroke. He has a handle. He passes. He might be really good. Honestly, of the guys we're talking about today, I kind of feel like this might be, well, there's 2 guys I'm really excited about. This is one of them. If he's at 21, it's going to be hard for the Jazz to pass on this guy because he's very talented and could be a potential future backcourt partner with Donovan Mitchell, or at very worst, a very nice off-the-bench scoring guard. And that's part of what is really nice with this draft for the Jazz. This is a really deep draft, and it's a really nice draft to be as late as the Jazz are, because there's going to be players they get. There are a lot of choices for the Jazz this year. In years past, there's drafts where you don't have a ton of choices. This, like, you just get the best player available and hope they're pretty good. This draft, the Jazz actually have choices. And if Elie Okobo is there, he's a really nice option and has a potential to be really good. And I really like Euro players, especially for the Jazz. They just have melded well with this team. The Jazz are very, international friendly. It's a nice pick. So I really like Elie Okobo. Go check him out. Really nice. Second player we're going to talk about. And this is a player that for the Jazz actually, there's rumors out there. Sports Illustrated dropped their most recent draft board. I actually haven't read it yet. I just read the section for the Jazz. But both the Ringer and SI have the Jazz picking this player. His name's Kevin Huerter. And the rumor is that the Jazz have given him a promise that if he's there, that they pick him. And this isn't like a sourced thing. Like, there isn't someone saying sources say the Jazz have done this. This is a lot of draft experts saying, we've talked to all these other teams that are in the same range as the Jazz, and they all think it's the Jazz who have offered him. So take that for what you will. But Kevin Huerter is really nice, guys. This is the other guy I'm actually really excited about. Bill Hedrick, yes, another Frenchman, nice. You got to love the Frenchmen. Clint Capella, Rudy Gobert. I forgot his name in Charlotte. I always forget his name. Let me know in the comments. But Elie Okobo has a chance to be really good, guys. Shea Turley, handsome, where you been? Where have I been? I had a baby. It was my 4th baby. Congrats to me. And I had to get a new hat. Got to represent the bodega. Brandon Whitesides, we need length and athleticism. Yes. But we also need shooting, guys. We need scoring. We saw that in the playoffs. We needed some scoring. Joseph Amanda, nice to see you. Nice to see you, Joseph. Brandon Whitesides, our 2 best players are athletic freaks with length. We need some scoring. Dustin Turner, you touched on 2 guys we're going to talk about tonight. But anyways, so the guy that the Jazz have possibly promised, and I hope kind of that we did, is Kevin Huerter. This guy, 6'7". Now, he doesn't have a freakish length, and he's not a freakish athlete, but this guy shoots the lights out. Go to Google, go to YouTube. Batum and Charlotte. Thank you, Dustin. You called it. Batum, another Frenchman. Turned out really nice. They're all really tough. But go check out Kevin Huerter from Maryland. This guy is a shooter. He is 6'7", so he's comparable height to someone like Kyle Korver. If the Jazz come out of this draft with a Kyle Korver level shooter that can be, either starter level or off the bench and can just shoot the lights out, that's big time. And being 6'7" and having a stroke like he does, oh man. And the nice thing about Kevin Huerter, and this is why I like Kevin Huerter for the Jazz and why the Jazz really might be considering him, is he killed it in the draft combine. A lot of the talk about was Donte DiVincenzo, who's another player I really like we're going to talk about. But Kevin Huerter killed it in draft combine. He really showed what you wanted to see. Now, we all knew that he could shoot. The guy can shoot the lights out, and he's got a spot up. He's got a pull-up shot. He shoots from angles. He comes off. He's very Korver-esque. He comes off a pick and shoots just like with lightning quick release, and he shoots with range. You go watch his shooting. This guy can shoot it from 5 feet behind the hoop, and that's a big deal because in this day and age in NBA, here's one of the things you got to watch, and the Rockets are doing this, and we don't talk about this enough with what the Rockets do, but they create space not by just having 3-point shooters, but 3-point shooters that can shoot from 3 and 4 feet back. So what happens is if you have shooters come back even farther, that opens up even more lanes, and you'll notice the Jazz are doing that, and Huerter fits perfectly. But the thing that Huerter really showed the Jazz at the draft combine and to scouts, and something maybe the Jazz already know, the guy can pass the ball. And it's important in the Jazz offense to pass the ball. Like, shooting is great, but if you're a black hole and the shot's not there and all you do is take bad shots, that's not good. But if you're a shooter but you can also pass and make good pass to the open shooter and get better shots, that's big time. And Huerter can do that. Guys, I like Kevin Huerter. If we pick him at 21, I'm excited because this guy provides shooting and size and smarts and passing. And from what I've read, decent defender. Doesn't have to be an incredible defender, but he's apparently a decent system defender, and that's all you need to do when you're with Rudy Gobert. You know, the Jazz need more scoring. They need more shooting. And if they get Kevin Huerter and he becomes a really high-level six-man or even some sort of starter eventually, because he has a chance to be a starter eventually, maybe. And you know with Quinn Snyder, it's going to help out. He's going to find a way to use him. Big-time possibility for the Jazz. I like Kevin Huerter. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let's see. Next guy that we have a chance at getting, and who had a really great workout with the Jazz, Keita Bates-Diop. So this guy is a 3-4 combo player. In the NBA, me personally, if I draft Keita Bates-Diop, I'm hoping that he becomes kind of that stretch 4 that can shoot the ball, because he can shoot the ball. He shot the ball at Ohio State. He is 6'8". And so I did some research on power forwards, because I've been kind of interested in, you've got to be interested in that position, because we don't know if Favors is going to be back there next year. You know, so the Jazz are probably, if Derek Favors leaves, probably starting Jay Crowder. But if you get a Keita Bates-Diop and you think he's really good and you think he can play the power forward, he's a really nice option as a future power forward for the Jazz. If you know, because next year Jay Crowder is the final year in his contract, I believe. If I'm wrong, let me know. But if he doesn't re-sign with the Jazz as well, if you draft Keita Bates-Diop, you have someone that you can develop over the year and possibly move into that starting role for the Jazz. So he fills a need in a lot of ways. What's nice about him is that he shoots and he's long. And he's also 22 years old, so he might be more ready than others in terms of physicality, but maybe not, you know, he'll still have to learn the NBA game. He'll still have to learn NBA defense. He'll still have to go through all the things that rookies do, because all rookies do that. But he's going to be ready to go more, probably a little quicker than other players if he's physically ready to go. And if you saw on Twitter, Andy Larson talked about this, that if you guys had really great workouts with the Jazz, Keita Bates-Diop was one of them. And so if he turns out to be really good, you know, he's available to the Jazz, by the way. The one that looks like he's really rocketing up is Elie Okobo. But Huerter looks like he's probably available, unless he jumped up too far too. And also Keita Bates-Diop. So Bates-Diop is interesting to me in terms of what he can do as a power forward, possibly, if he can hold up at that position and be kind of that future power forward the Jazz have kind of been looking for a long time. And that we kind of hope that Derek Favors can be with shooting. But if Derek Favors doesn't come back with the Jazz, this Keita Bates-Diop is a really good option. The next player on the draft that I'm interested in, and I think some of you guys have seen him and talked about him, and you know I have a real love for him. It's Donte DiVincenzo. Now, I personally, it looks like he's falling in draft boards a little bit, which is interesting to me. I feel like this guy might be a steal, and I don't understand why he's not higher in the draft. A lot of it comes from, I guess, measurables, maybe. People thinking that, like, maybe he's not big enough, because he's about 6'4". Let's see. Donte DiVincenzo, 6'4.5" with a 6'6" wingspan. So his measurables are not through the roof. I wouldn't say they're bad, but they're not through the roof. And for someone who's 6'4", he might not have the handle or the explosive quickness that maybe you hope for as your one. But I actually feel like he's better than we're giving him credit for. When you go into the national championship game and when the lights are their brightest, and you go and you're the best player on the floor, no questions asked, and that includes with Mikal Bridges on the floor, that's pretty impressive. And I feel like Donte DiVincenzo, at worst, becomes an incredible sixth man. That he's kind of like that Lou Williams type player that can come off the bench and just get buckets. Because this guy has a great stroke. He's a killer. He's got swag. He can score. And he's exciting. And he had the biggest vert in the NBA in the draft combine. He had a bigger max vert than Donovan Mitchell did. DiVincenzo. That's crazy. He's surprisingly athletic, and he showed in the national championship game that he can score, that he gets buckets, and if the Jazz end up drafting Donte DiVincenzo, I'm excited about it because he's a really nice player, and that's why I'm excited about this draft. These are 4 players that are most likely going to be, if not available to the Jazz, at least 2 or 3 of them will be if they don't get drafted higher than they're slated to go, at least according to the Ringer and SI. So I'm pretty excited about it. I think the Jazz are going to get a nice player. I actually feel like they're going to get a rotation player. I don't know if they're going to get a starter level player, but the thing that's crazy about this draft is some of these guys, you could see it happen. If Huerter becomes just a 45% three-point shooter, how do you keep him off the floor? You know, if DiVincenzo can put up 15 points in 15 minutes, that's a big-time player for your bench that can get you buckets when you need it most, or in the end of games. And if Keita Bates-Diop develops into a really nice stretch big, you've got a power forward that could be starting for you. And Elie Okobo has a chance to be the best of all those guys. So it's an exciting draft if you're later in the draft. I actually feel like this draft is not that top heavy. I like Luka Doncic. I don't love him. I think there's a little bit of draft bust potential there. I still think he'll be really good, but he honestly looks like Gordon Hayward to me. Which, you know, if you're getting the number one overall pick, that's nice, but, you know, that's not super exciting. And DeAndre Ayton looks like he could be, if he hits his potential, looks like Joel Embiid, you know, with maybe a little bit better offensive game. So he has incredible upside, but, you know, who knows if he fits that, reaches that potential. That's the thing that's scary. Brian Squires, let's trade up and get Denver's pick. Yeah, why not? The thing is the draft is so deep that, you know, maybe it's not worth it. Just draft and get a great player at 21 when it might be a same level of player as 14. It's really that good of a draft. Let's see. Adam Ray King, why do we need to draft anyone at all? Don't we have enough good young players as is? Instead of taking on another guy, we have to take time to develop. Why can't we concentrate? This is the thing, guys. One of the things is you need to draft young players. And part of that is because of contracts. You know, some of these guys pan out, some of them do not. But you need to be replenishing your talent always, because you never know when something happens where you need to make a trade. Like, we thought Rodney Hood would be on this team this year. We thought we might be giving him a contract, and he's not. And so we're very lucky that we have Royce Young. You know, you need to replenish the team with young talent. It keeps you giving opportunities to young players that might turn into better players than you expected, like Royce Young, like Donovan Mitchell. But it also keeps your contracts low. You know, so if you can play Royce O'Neal, did I say Royce Young? Royce O'Neal instead of Rodney Hood and get the same production, if not better, that's a super win, because Royce O'Neal gets paid a lot less than Rodney Hood was slated to get paid by the Jazz. You know, if you can, like Brandon Whiteside, we need Kuzma type player. Kuzma is an incredibly valuable contract because he's getting paid like $1 million, $2 million a year, but you're getting a player that's giving you high level production. That matters. And that makes certain players tradable. You know, if you have a player like Royce O'Neal who's making like 10% of what Alec Burks is making, that's crazy important, and that's really good. And you need to be replenishing your talent. You never know when you have injuries. You never know when you have to trade a player for whatever reason to make something happen. Because if you have the young players that can fill that role, it really, really replenishes you. And look at Brooklyn. Brooklyn hasn't been able to draft forever. And that's why they've been stagnant. That's why they need their draft picks. They need to stop making bad trades. Brandon Whiteside, get him next slam dunk champion. Yeah, he's got that kind of explosiveness. James McIlvery, could the pick be used as a way to trade up to free cap space? AB in 21 for Mirotic? I don't know if you want to trade that for 1 year of Mirotic, though. You know, because then you're going to probably be giving Mirotic money the next year, and you could have just waited a year, you know. Mirotic is going to be available in a year. Like, he'll play next year, but the following year, just pick him up and keep your pick. You know, what if Huerter is really, really good? Just pick Huerter and get him the next year, because Jay Crowder, is Mirotic that much better than Jay Crowder? He's probably a better player because he's a better shooter. And I'd rather have Mirotic, but I don't know if Mirotic is that much better that it's worth giving away the 21st pick. It's a valuable pick, guys. It's really valuable. It's really, really valuable. Anyways, that's all I've got for you today. Let me know in the draft if who you're interested in picking. Should we talk about more players? I want to do more of these videos. Talk about the draft. The draft is fun. If I was wrong about something, let me know. I don't really care, but let me know in the comments and I'll read them. Maybe it'll make me mad. I don't know. Or maybe happy. Sometimes you guys make me happy. Sometimes you make me sad. But make sure that you like and subscribe to this. Make sure you go to the slcdunk.com. We got player grades. We got draft profiles for a lot more guys than we talked about tonight. I hope you do it because we wrote about it. And downbeats and all the cool things. So make sure you go do that, guys. I'm at Hanson James. You can follow me on Twitter. Just don't be a jerk. And I'll be back.